I was tortured until I nearly lost my sanity. I watched my friends die as test subjects and had to survive innumerable trials, all so I could become the world's best assassin, not that I had much choice. Now, given a second chance, I've come back to the past with all my skills intact. I've got a killer wife, a crazy one, and an agent one, and I'm once again the best assassin in the world, climbing the ranks, killing weaklings who stand in my way, and becoming a popular streamer while working toward my revenge against those who treated me like a lab rat. The only downside is still being hunted by my fallen friends, but oh well, I can't say life isn't going well. It all began with a woman tied to a chair, tortured while a man mutters that he once believed this was just a game. The woman, Sua, cries out to Woohyun, saying she cannot endure any longer. He insists to himself that it was supposed to be a realistic game he could log out of whenever he wanted. She lifts her tear-stained face toward him, apologizing, and he shouts for her not to say that. But it is not only her, others begin calling to him as well, insisting that he has to be the one who survives. One by one, they die in front of him. As time passes, Woohyun realizes he has no choice but to accept the truth. Begging them not to leave him behind, he begins to understand that this place has become his new reality. His scream rises into the air as we learn he is trapped in something called the Reverse Planet, a viral VR game celebrated for its dimensional gates, special abilities, and invasion wars. He logged into it only because a friend recommended it, but now he is unable to escape the game at all. Men in lab coats enter the room, congratulating him as test subject number 62. They say he has taken another step toward becoming the Transcendent for Project Transcendence, a system that grinds thousands of people to manufacture a single transcendent being. They perform inhumane biological experiments on kidnapped victims, electrical torture, drug injections, body modification. As they haul away the bodies of the others, Woohyun is ordered to be locked up with the remaining subjects. Sitting in rage, he declares that if this is truly his new reality, he will get revenge no matter what. Later, alarms blare throughout the facility. A test subject has escaped, and personnel are ordered to arm themselves. Woohyun and a group of survivors sprint down a corridor, thrilled at the thought that freedom is right around the corner. But they come to an abrupt stop. The path is blocked by a man who mocks them for thinking they could escape, warning that this corridor will become their grave. They prepare to fight, placing Woohyun in the rear to support them. The battle is brutal. Eventually, Woohyun manages to choke the man until he takes his final breath, but by then, everyone else in his group has been slaughtered. Woohyun breaks down, crying that this cannot be happening again. The corpses of his allies seem to stare at him, haunting him with accusations about the unfairness of him being the only survivor. Guilt consumes him. After escaping the laboratory that day, years pass. To avenge those he loved, Woohyun kills and kills again. We see him cutting down enemies. One tries to flee, but he throws a knife directly into the back of the man's throat. Yet no matter how many die by his hands, revenge never ends and guilt gnaws at him relentlessly. He wonders how long he must live like this, believing it might continue until the day he dies. A status window suddenly appears before him. It states that a bug fix has been applied. If he eliminates the director of Project Transcendence, he will return to his original world. Shocked, he carves his way deeper into the executive offices, leaving only corpses behind. The director kneels before him, asking why he is doing this when they were about to bask in glory. This man is the executive director of Project Transcendence. Another survivor grabs the director by the collar, shouting at him. This is test subject number 81, Kim Yongjin. The director snaps at him to be silent, calling him by his number and dismissing him as beneath notice. He then addresses Woohyun by his full name, revealing that Woohyun's nickname is Superhuman. He praises Woohyun for achieving transcendence with nothing but a human body, his single greatest masterpiece. Growing angrier, the director warns Woohyun that killing him will not solve anything. The corporate alliance will never forgive anyone who bears fangs at them. Everyone Woohyun knows, family, relatives, colleagues, will be ruined. But before he even finishes speaking, his body and desk fall apart, sliced cleanly in half as his two halves collapse onto the floor. Blood splashes onto Yongjin, who immediately starts yelling at Woohyun for spilling blood on him and killing the director too quickly, complaining that he still had questions. Woohyun ignores him, staring at the glowing status window. His mission is complete. He can return to his original world. Freedom is right there, he only needs to press the button. But as he reaches for it, Survivor's guilt claws its way back. The ghosts of his allies rise up, urging him not to forget them, insisting he still has revenge left to fulfill. They say they will not rest. He whispers that he is tired, that he has already done enough, and that leaving just this once should be allowed. After all, this might be his first and last chance. Yongjin snaps him out of it, and Woohyun tells him he is going back to his original world. Yongjin protests, confused, reminding him that he has been here from the beginning, but Woohyun presses the confirmation anyway, telling him to inform the others that he is sorry. He wakes in his own bed, gasping for air. Looking around wildly, he realizes it is really his room. He checks his phone to see how much time has passed, and discovers it is still the same day he was dragged into the game. No time passed at all. His body has reverted as well. All the muscle he built is gone. It feels almost like a dream, 10 years of fighting and watching comrades die, yet the memories are vivid, undeniable. His phone rings. A woman named Nan is yelling, asking why he is not answering and demanding to know whether he forgot their promise. He asks what promise she means, and she reminds him they plan to meet tonight, sending the location before hanging up. Finally, he recognizes the voice, his only somewhat close colleague, the one who recommended Reverse Planet to him. He wonders if she was involved, but based on what he remembers, it seems unlikely, so he decides to meet her. He arrives at the meeting spot and scans the area until she waves him over. She says it has been a while since the end-of-term exams and asks whether he wants a drink. He declines, saying he does not know what might happen if he gets drunk. She shrugs and orders food, then asks if he has tried Reverse Planet yet. He tells her he made a character and watched the intro and was dragged straight in. She scolds him, saying that only watching the intro is basically not playing at all. He gets irritated, thinking that if she knew how the game made him suffer 10 years, she would not say that, especially since it happened because of her. She pouts, saying she was counting on him. He promised to be a regular guest on her stream, and since he was a Coliseum ranker, even showing half his physical skills would blow up her tiny channel. He finally remembers her hobby was streaming, and she was always pestering everyone to play games with her. But despite the frustration, he feels, just a little, like he has truly come back. Back at home, he looks up the company behind Reverse Planet. He tells himself that he survived that hell, so digging deeper is pointless. He decides to forget everything that happened in that world. He tries to live an ordinary life, going to class, hanging out with friends, but survivor's guilt trails him everywhere. He questions whether he really returned, whether this is truly reality. He glances at an apparition of a dead comrade, but when he turns fully, it is gone. Slowly, everything begins to fall out of place. When he looks at people, he sees the faces of those who died beside him. He trembles, and classmates speculate that he must be on something. In the hallway, someone grabs his shoulder and he snaps, instantly pulling the man's wrist, reaching for a knife that is no longer there, slashing a throat that does not exist. Regaining awareness, he sees nothing in his hands and no old uniform on his body. He apologizes shakily, and the student tells him he has been acting strange. Shaken, he steps outside, cracks open a drink, and sits on a bench. Once again, the ghosts of his comrades call out to him, urging him to come back, insisting he has not avenged them. He screams for it to stop. Nan appears and steadies him. She tells him he looks pale and unlike himself lately, asking what is wrong. He claims it is nothing. She tells him that if anything does happen, he must tell her. She will help him. When she leaves, he murmurs that he now understands he is the one who brought the ghosts back. That night, he goes to a VR capsule. If nothing ends until they are satisfied, then this world is no different from the one that trapped him. So he resolves to return to Reverse Planet and see everything through to the end. The status window welcomes him back. He materializes in what appears to be the waiting room of the lab. He wonders why he is only in the game world rather than returning to that world, just when he had decided to confront everything again. There must be another condition he has not met. The system asks if he wants to confirm his appearance. He instead chooses to proceed with the tutorial, hoping he can return after completing it. He adjusts his settings, turning combat assistance to 0. He fought well enough without it before. Then he begins selecting his core ability. Reverse Planet's ability system works by choosing a core element and expanding it with sub-elements, forming a build. There are countless possible combinations, enough to sustain professional theorycrafters. Among all of them, the one that earned him the nickname Superhuman was this one, but the view cuts away before revealing it. A voice comes over the speakers, calling him Test Subject 48, stating that it seems he awakened during the last experiment and that a week has passed. The game does not show what happens before awakening, but Woo Hyun believes no one would ever want to experience it. He is instructed to step inside again for the next experiment. Inside waits something he recognizes. Eternal, a killing machine created to suppress rampaging awakeners, the reason so many test subjects died. Woo Hyun is told he must fight it. He immediately experiences PTSD, seeing flashes of his comrades being slaughtered by the thing. It charges him, he dodges the first strike, then 3 more, slips beneath it, closes the distance and grabs it. The final version used abilities, but this early prototype is nothing. He slams it into the floor, shattering its body to pieces. The voice praises him, declaring that his aptitude far exceeds that of ordinary subjects and announcing that the next experiment will begin, but the entire lab suddenly trembles. The speaker forgets to mute his mic as he panics. The government is invading, and he dies mid-sentence. A woman's voice replaces him, announcing that all victims trapped inside must use their strength and escape immediately. Her voice seems familiar. The tutorial quest changes to escape the lab as the structure begins to self-destruct. Woo Hyun races through ruined hallways. A dying man wearing the insignia of the Interdimensional Management Bureau slumps against a wall. He tells Woo Hyun that since he has made it this far, he must intend to escape. He offers his help and tells him to choose a weapon. He hands Woo Hyun a radio, explaining that once he reaches the outside, he can signal the Bureau to retrieve him. Then he dies, footsteps echo, another Eternal approaches. Woo Hyun reminds himself it is only a game and likely scripted. He examines the weapon board and grips a chain sickle, unsettled by its oddly familiar sensation. Meanwhile, Kang Soil was complaining loudly to her stream, unable to believe she was actually playing Reverse Planet. Her pride as a retro gamer fan felt crushed. She reminded viewers that they were the ones who made her promise to play, and she never broke a promise on stream. Her chat flamed her immediately, calling out every time she had lied before. Flustered, she changed subjects and said she would begin her penalty for failing to clear the previous challenge, starting the game right away. She refused to adjust her character's appearance and chose something cool for her ability, Fire. Last, she set combat assistance to 50%. Chat instantly demanded she put it at 0. She insisted clearing the tutorial with no assistance was practically impossible. Almost nobody in the world played with 0 assist. Although confident in her mechanics thanks to other games, no assist felt like trying to control a third arm that had just sprouted. She admitted she wanted to lower it, but then someone donated 500,000 won. She folded instantly and agreed. She ran out of her room to begin the tutorial, only to be flattened instantly by an E-Nell. She grabbed her walkie-talkie mid-panic, yelling that she couldn't believe the game threw her straight into a fight with no explanation as the E-Nell stomped on her. Now that she had a weapon and the radio, she only needed to escape. Then the game started matchmaking her. She had forgotten that clearing the tutorial with a matched partner still counted. Chat accused her of getting carried, while others said she wouldn't get matched anyway. Matchmaking only paired players with identical combat assist percentages. She lamented that meant she absolutely couldn't get help. Chat mocked her for falling for it, then it matched. She froze, certain she was doomed as the teleport sequence began. When her vision cleared, she found herself surrounded by piles of dead Eternals. "This is no joke," she muttered. Chat speculated it was a pro player smurfing. Others argued no pro could do this in the tutorial with 0 assist. She examined the corpses. Unlike her, her partner hadn't used a gun. She wondered what weapon he had used, but admitted he was the perfect carry. Determined to find him, she moved through the corridor and soon spotted Woo Hyun up ahead, drenched in blood. He heard footsteps and instantly turned, eyes locked onto the corner. As she stepped into view, he leapt at her, stopping his blade just short of her face. She screamed, ducked back behind the wall, and begged for her life. He apologized immediately, saying he had mistaken her for someone else. She noticed his lab coat and realized he was her matched partner. He said he was leaving. She quickly asked if she could follow him since the game paired them. She introduced herself, mentioning that he was on a live broadcast. Privacy mode was on, so his face wasn't visible. He froze, and she wondered if he was offended. Before she could ask again, armed guards rushed in, shouting that the two of them needed to be killed, not captured. Gunfire erupted. Soil ducked behind an E-Nell corpse, horrified by the difficulty spike. She called out to her bus driver, asking if he was okay. When she peeked out, she saw him flying through the air, dodging bullets while attacking with a chain sickle. She gasped, asking Chat if they were seeing this. She didn't know much about the game, but anyone could tell this was insane. Then his eyes turned black. Chat argued whether it was wind ability, judging from the weapon's movement. Someone pointed out that the only core element that enhanced physical attributes and changed eye color was Transcendence. Soil said she'd heard Transcendence was trash, an ability that disabled all other ability skills, the worst pick in the game. Chat agreed. Nobody willingly chose a build that shut off abilities in a game where abilities were the entire point. Still, the black irises proved that he had picked it. Someone suggested maybe the physical buffs were important. Soil argued that even so, he was still level 1. How could a level 1 move like that? She began to question what kind of monster he was in real life. After Woohyun killed the last guard, he dropped his shoulders, staring at his blade. Guilt washed over him as the voices of his fallen comrades whispered this wasn't enough. He hadn't taken enough revenge. They demanded more. Another guard peeked from around a corner, aiming at him. Soil dashed forward, yelling for him to watch out. She fired 3 shots, forcing the guard back, then slid after him and shot him in the head. Her chat exploded with praise. Proudly, she asked Woohyun if that was at least a little helpful. But Woohyun was zoning out again, haunted by memories of a girl and comrades he failed to save. She snapped him back, asking if he was upset. He told her not to worry, she had helped. They continued walking. She called him bus driver again and said she had a question. He told her to call him Woo. She was shocked he used his real name, it wasn't filtered. Hesitant, she asked whether he had really picked Transcendence as his core ability. He confirmed he had. Chat declared him doomed. Core abilities couldn't be changed, only sub-abilities. She asked how he could dodge bullets with no ability skills and whether he played any other games. He said he didn't particularly enjoy any. Suddenly, he stopped. She asked what was wrong. He said there were 2 Eternals about 20 meters ahead. She was confused. He didn't have long-range detection abilities. There was no way he could know that, but he calmly told her not to worry and kept moving. She followed, insisting it couldn't be true, until she turned the corner and saw exactly 2 Eternals standing there. She shrieked. Woohyun said he used to play a lot of Colosseum. She yelled that he was walking straight at them. He dodged the first strike and kicked the entire Enel into a concrete wall. As it fell, he added that he had been a Colosseum ranker. He grabbed the other Eternal and shattered its core with a single punch. Chat exploded. Being a ranker explained everything. Soil asked whether being a ranker mattered. Some viewers didn't know, but others clarified. Colosseum rankers attracted pro scouts immediately. Only one player had ever gone pro directly from Colosseum, Battler. Soil gasped, recognizing the name. Battler was Reverse Planet's most famous pro. Chat now wondered whether Woohyun had ever fought him. They reached the final tutorial chamber. Woohyun froze. The red-haired, lion-like guard captain stood before them, the same one who had blocked the escape in the real lab. The man repeated the same line he once said to him. Woohyun laughed bitterly that this was considered part of the tutorial. He zoned out as the voices of his comrades screamed for him to devour the captain. The captain lunged, but Soil whipped out an assault rifle from nowhere and fired. The bullets bounced off a particle barrier. She panicked. Only awakened superhumans could use particle barriers. She said she would support from behind and ran. Chat mocked her for relying on her carry. Woohyun reminded himself this was just a game. If defeating this man eased his comrades' anguish, he would do it. He stepped forward and punched the captain in the ribs, shattering the particle barrier with his fist and blasting him into the wall. Soil and Chat were speechless. Someone insisted it had to be a bug. The captain activated Iron Man, turning his skin into dense metal. Each step cracked the ground. He roared that he would rip Woohyun apart. Woohyun dodged again and again. The captain's arm morphed into a drill, but even then he couldn't land a hit. Woohyun clenched his fist and uppercut the captain, breaking his goggles. The man dropped to his knees. Woohyun warned him not to deactivate his ability, otherwise he would die too quickly. His comrades' voices screamed for him to tear the man apart as they were torn apart. The captain trembled, asking how a mere test subject could be this powerful. Woohyun answered that it was all thanks to him, and then tore into the captain, ripping him apart piece by piece until the security chief was dead. Soil stared in horror. Chat screamed that the carry was insane. Soil, still shaken, said that now that the tutorial boss was dead, all that remained was escaping. Woohyun walked away as the ghosts of his fallen comrades swarmed over the defeated captain. At last, he and Soil exited the collapsing lab. Completing the tutorial granted them both a level up and a skill point. She asked whether he planned to continue the main quest that day, but he replied that he was stopping for now. She asked him to wait, and he agreed. Turning to her chat, she announced the tutorial clear and told viewers she would see them tomorrow before ending the stream. Afterward, she asked what his plans were and suggested he become a regular on her stream. She explained that she would mostly play the main quest but would also include occasional PvP, adjusting her schedule around his, and even paying him an appearance fee. He declined, so she asked at least to add him as a friend. He agreed, and she logged out gratefully. Woo-hyun remained in the game, wondering why finishing the tutorial had still not sent him back to the other side. In reality, he had no way of knowing what consequences his gameplay would bring, or that someone had even donated to ask him what it felt like to be back in the real world. The next morning, chaos erupted at the Korean branch of Planet Earth, the company behind Reverse Planet. Woo-hyun's actions had caused an incident without precedent in the company's history. Staff members stared at the footage, unable to believe what they were seeing. No buffs, no stat correction, no weapons, yet he had crushed the security chief with his bare hands. Online communities assumed hacking, and users flooded the company boards demanding explanations. When asked whether they were sure it wasn't a hack, the tech team insisted they were certain. They checked everything since the moment his character was created, no trace of tampering or external program injection. Over the years, they had seen countless hackers, but none could replicate movements like his. Even with cheats, such precision was impossible. If not hacking, they said, then he was simply insane. Still, there was a remote possibility it could be an undetected hack, so they needed proper verification. Later, Woo-hyun had drinks with Non. He asked if the community had really turned upside down because of him. She confirmed everything was in chaos. Players had even started a no-modification challenge, and all failed, crying that he had to be hacking. She admitted she herself had been shocked when she watched the video. He asked how she recognized him despite the other girl using a privacy filter. She explained it was because he said his full real name and she had seen him fight before. She already knew he was good, but not that he was this good. He mentioned that Planet Earth had contacted him, which made her panic, assuming they wanted to investigate him for hacks. Soil had messaged him as well. Non said a game company stepping in directly to verify hacks would draw massive attention and asked whether he would do it. It was only the Korean branch, he explained, but it was his only chance to interact with the developers. If someone high-ranking appeared, he might find clues about the other world. He had told them he would think about it, but he had already decided he would accept. She said it was the right choice. Clarifying things early would prevent endless drama, and being called a hacker everywhere would get annoying. He said he didn't care much, and besides, no one recognized him since his face wasn't shown. She insisted that even with a different appearance, his fighting style was too unique. Pros who hide their identities are often exposed by their habits. Woo-hyun muttered that internet detectives were relentless, and she agreed, saying that if he didn't clear his name, that streamer would get dragged into the mess too. When he asked why, she said mobs don't care. Once drama begins, they target anyone connected to it. They would flame him first, then her next. Woo-hyun said he wouldn't let that happen, so he confirmed he would proceed. She was surprised but thrilled. This level of hype would skyrocket her stream numbers. She laughed, telling viewers to brace themselves for something never before seen in Reverse Planet's history. She began spreading notices about the upcoming hack verification stream. 4 days later, Woo-hyun logged in. Soil rushed over, apologizing that all of this had been so hard on him and that it was her fault. He told her it was fine and asked if she suspected him. She said no, she saw his movements herself and his eyes looked like those of a deranged killer. No hacker could imitate that kind of aura, it was instinctive. She began her stream, thanking viewers for waiting. The chat instantly flooded with insults, demanding she kick the hacker out. She marveled at how she had 10,000 viewers, proof of how big the controversy had grown, and explained that was why she had invited him. He introduced himself, but viewers flamed him immediately. She warned them that if they kept it up, she would disable chat. Before starting verification, she asked what he thought about the controversy. He said it was ridiculous that something like this had even become an issue. Chat called him pretentious. Soil admitted that the performance had been too amazing not to spark controversy, then moved on to the verification plan. She announced a special guest, Park Ga-yoon, Operations Team 1 manager of Planet Earth Korea. Viewers went wild, shocked she had brought a game master. Woo-hyun realized that as an ops manager, Ga-yoon might know something he needed. After introductions, Ga-yoon stared at Woo-hyun, remarking that he looked normal on the outside. He then guided them to the verification area, teleporting them there. Soil admired the teleport effect while Ga-yoon explained the private training room used for practicing abilities and combat. Multiple tests would be conducted to detect any external program assistance. Ga-yoon asked whether he consented to the tests. Woo-hyun agreed. The door opened, revealing an upgraded mid-tier Eternal. His eyes immediately turned black as ghosts urged him onward. Ga-yoon explained that all he had to do was kill the bot, but before he finished speaking, he heard rumbling. He turned to find Woo-hyun already gone. Debris flew, forcing Ga-yoon to shield himself with his clipboard while viewers watched Woo-hyun annihilate the mid-tier Eternal with his bare fists. When the bot fell, Ga-yoon's program declared no external interference detected. Ga-yoon admitted the verification was too short and asked if Woo-hyun could fight using a predetermined method to rule out autopilot cheats. Woo-hyun agreed. Ga-yoon explained the plan. He must decapitate 3 training bots with his sickle. Accepting without hesitation, Woo-hyun prepared as the 3 bots lunged. They punched toward his head simultaneously, but he instantly twisted away, dismantling them one by one in fluid motions. Soil said she knew she had seen it, the way his weapon moved as if alive. Some viewers blamed an overpowered weapon, others insisted it was all him. Ga-yoon said he finally had enough data, but as a game administrator, he desperately wanted to see whether Woo-hyun could defeat an advanced-level training bot using only 1 core ability. The gate opened, revealing a humanoid bot. Chad accused the admin of being toxic. Ga-yoon introduced the final verification test, explaining that this was a later model Eternal. Woo-hyun was startled. This was the same type that had ripped apart his comrades in the other world. Rage simmered beneath the surface. The bot struck first, its punch grazing his cheek. It followed up with rapid attacks that shattered the wall behind him as he dodged. He noted that intermediate bots couldn't compare. 1 hit would be devastating. He struck its side, but its body was far too hard to damage. Ducking another blow, he decided to simply pummel it until the accumulated damage broke through. Blow after blow, he hammered the machine. Ga-yoon watched in awe. Woo-hyun was matching a bot that should have been impossible for someone using only a single core ability. At first it looked like the bot had the advantage, but soon Woo-hyun had it overwhelmed, forcing it entirely onto the defensive. Suddenly the bot vanished. Ga-yoon explained that he had ended the test. He already had enough data. Soil asked about the verdict. Ga-yoon confirmed that Woo-hyun had not been using any external program. Chat divided sharply between belief and denial. Soil reminded them she had said from the start that he wasn't cheating. Viewers had even begun calling him Hacksul. She said she liked the nickname, but insisted everyone remember that Woo-hyun had never used hacks. He simply had exceptional mechanics. She asked how he felt now that the verification was complete. He just told them all good work, and Ga-yoon laughed, saying it had been fun. The stream ended with more than 100,000 viewers. She thanked both Ga-yoon and Woo-hyun for joining. Ga-yoon said he was glad Woo-hyun agreed, and Woo-hyun replied that it was nothing. As Ga-yoon turned to leave, Woo-hyun stopped him and asked whether the game had ever suffered a bug, one that could trap someone inside for an extremely long time. Ga-yoon said he had never heard of anything like that. If such a critical bug existed, the game would never have become popular. Woo-hyun admitted he had a point. Ga-yoon then departed. Soil sighed with relief. She said she was going back to her stream and planned to share the profits with him, asking whether she could contact him later. He said he didn't need the money, but she could call. She didn't want to let him go. He was a walking clip machine. But she also couldn't bring herself to ask him to appear again, knowing he had only joined to clear his name. She told him she'd call next time and left. Woo-hyun, however, felt disappointed. He hadn't learned as much about the other world as he hoped. A message from Non arrived, asking to meet him in the battle prep room. Later, she pulled up and asked how his first stream felt. He said it was technically his second, but streaming didn't suit him. He had to watch what viewers said, and he disliked it. She said he could just play the game and ignore viewers. She would handle everything and he could decide after trying it. Though reluctant, he followed her to PvP. She said it was one of the game's core modes, 1 Vone and 2 Vitwo showdowns, 5-man warfare and Battle Royale. Today they would play Battle Royale together. She said he needed a PvP build and offered to recommend one, but he said he already knew the exact build that had earned him the name Superhuman in the other world. He prepared while she went live. She suggested landing at the military base since high-rank equipment spawned there, though it was extremely dangerous. She asked permission to record for YouTube. He agreed. She spawned and immediately moved areas. Woohyun materialized behind a man in a building and closed the gap instantly. Outside, explosions rocked the facility as Non watched the kill feed fill with Woohyun's name, one kill, then another, then a flood. We saw him stab a man in the chest, eliminating yet another opponent. He sensed no other players nearby, meaning the last one had fallen. He hadn't expected to face 4 enemies at once upon landing. With this area secure, he prepared to move out. Non called for help. She was surrounded. Checking the map, he saw she was far away but headed toward her. She told him she was on the 3rd floor roof, but that every floor was filled with fighting. He said he would handle it. 2 fighters turned toward him. One activated an ability, but Woohyun cut the man's arm off before he could finish, killing him instantly. The other panicked and launched an attack, but Woohyun leaped over it and sliced his throat. He continued carving through enemies on every floor until he reached the building's front gate. She asked whether she should come down, but he told her to stay put. Sensing 5 people inside, he pushed the door open. A man hiding behind it lunged, thinking he had the advantage, but Woohyun caught his wrist and struck him 3 times in the chest, killing him. He said he needed to speed up and sprinted upstairs, eliminating everyone on the path. On the roof, Non was stunned by the kill feed. He was smurfing. She sensed someone behind her, turned and swung, but missed. It was Woohyun. She gasped, saying he scared her. She hadn't noticed him until he was beside her. With 14 kills already, she expected nothing less. He wondered whether he even needed to come. She asked whether he had cleared the whole building. He said he was more curious about the chainsaw she carried. She said it was all she could find, but now that they were together, she would carry him. He humored her. Ultimately, they won first place. Woohyun had 25 kills and 7 assists. She had 7 kills and 15 assists. They repeated this again and again, 10 consecutive victories. Exhausted, she said they should stop. She told him she once thought he was an ordinary college student, but he was actually a killing machine. She vowed to get him on her stream, telling him not to touch his main missions for 2 days until she brought him an official offer. He said he wasn't interested, but she insisted and left. He reflected that he learned nothing from PvP either. Meanwhile, Soil lay on her bed kicking her feet, reading forum posts about her and Woohyun, thrilled. Over 100,000 viewers. She doubted anything like this would ever happen again. She wished she could keep streaming with him and regretted not trying harder. When she checked her earnings, her jaw dropped. The next day, Woohyun met Non at a cafe. He asked why she called him so suddenly and what she was even staring at. She proudly showed him a PowerPoint she made to persuade him. He wondered why she stayed up all night making it. She reminded him he had said it was fine as long as the streamer was only showing him playing the game. Her idea was a reality show format with multiple cast members watching his recorded gameplay. He would play, she would handle communication, and they could even bring in a pro commentator. The profit split would be 60/40. He said he wasn't interested. She said he didn't understand how much stream profit was, but then noticed he must have already received Soil's payout. He said he had gotten an email that morning. When he opened it, she told him his share was 6 million won and that there was a strange donation message attached. Excited, she asked whether he really still wasn't interested, but he focused on the message. It shocked him. Anonymous Viewer 62, the same as his lab number, wrote that it was good to see him again, asking how it felt to be back in reality, saying they had a special mission just for him and that they would only meet when he streamed. Realizing they knew he was from the other world, Woohyun asked if it was possible to get donor information. Non said no, privacy laws prevented it and he couldn't contact them first. The only way to communicate was through streaming. Woohyun agreed he would start streaming. She told him no takebacks. He said he wanted to pursue this instead. Later, on a Friday evening when gamers unwound before their screens, thousands waited for one event. Woohyun's stream, 5 minutes before broadcast, Non trembled in the studio. Her co-host, Chaos Secho, told her she was too nervous but everything was ready. He was a professional reverse planet commentator and admitted he was nervous too. He never expected anyone besides her to bring Woohyun onto a stream. As soon as she mentioned she knew him, he promised to appear. They went live. Viewers demanded to see Woo-hyun immediately. Non explained that he wouldn't appear on camera, but he was in the game. On screen, Woo-hyun stood masked to hide his identity. She announced their show, Hack's Tour, named after his new nickname, would proceed as a reality show format with them commentating over his gameplay. She messaged him to begin. He confirmed and started the main mission. Slip through guards searching for the test subject and join the Otherworld Management Bureau outside the forest. It was the same mission as before. Back then, he focused on running away. This time, he would do the opposite. He shouted to draw attention, and guards turned toward him, preparing to swarm. Reaching for his sickle, he declared he would kill them all as the voices of his comrades urged him on. Gunfire erupted. He dodged through bullets, slicing a guard's weapon and causing an explosion, then cutting through more enemies as he advanced. From the studio, Non and Secha watched in disbelief, saying this wasn't the reverse planet they knew. In the broadcast studio, Sunchul said he had never seen anything like this in his entire career. Woo-hyun didn't even seem to have a strategy. He was simply herding all enemies together as if instinct alone guided him. Some viewers admitted they thought he had lost his mind when he started screaming earlier, yet clearly he hadn't. Others began wondering whether the transcendence skill might actually be broken. Non asked Sunchul what he thought, and he explained that transcendence wasn't the problem. Most skills had specific cooldowns, which made it seem like Woo-hyun's build was overpowering simply because he could use his core ability freely. But transcendence only enhanced physical ability. It did nothing for battle intelligence or weapon proficiency. Woo-hyun wasn't using any buffs either. If anything, Sunchul said, Woo-hyun could probably fight like that in real life if he possessed the same physical abilities. In other words, only Woo-hyun could bring out Transcendence's full potential. Woo-hyun noticed movement as a different squad stepped into view and surrounded him. Their leader introduced himself as Kim from the Otherworld Management Bureau and ordered Woo-hyun to drop his weapon and surrender. The Bureau, exactly as its name suggested, was a government department that eliminated invading entities emerging from dimensional gates, trapping and destroying dangerous intruders within the mixed dimension space of Reverse Planet. Woo-hyun recognized Director Kim from the Otherworld, though he had not expected to meet him here. Director Kim apologized for mistaking him for an enemy, assuming he was a victim who had escaped the laboratory. When they spotted the walkie-talkie, Woo-hyun explained an agent had given it to him, and Kim expressed sadness that the man must have died. Woo-hyun noted that Kim was exactly the same as he had been in the Otherworld. Director Kim then told him that until they confirmed his identity, he should remain with the Bureau. Woo-hyun agreed, completing the quest and earning a level and an ability point. Inside headquarters, he looked around, saying he never thought he would stand in this room. In the Otherworld, after escaping the lab, he had earned money for revenge by accepting requests from a firm, assassinations, abductions, and most frequently, subjugations of Reverse Planet's monsters. The firm commissioned him to clear Reverse Planets for the rewards, and whenever they deemed the loot worthless, they dumped the cleanup work on him. Because of that, he often encountered the Bureau, sometimes cooperating on hunts, sometimes clashing with them until blades were drawn. A woman entered and greeted him, introducing herself as Lee Yoogjun of the Bureau's first team. The chat exploded with excitement, and Woo-hyun recognized her as well. She told him he had come a long way and presented two choices. First, live as an ordinary civilian under Bureau protection, though he would be forbidden from using his ability. Second, become affiliated with the Bureau, not as an official agent right away, but after receiving some training, he would be deployed once they believed he was ready. Woo-hyun quietly noted that in the Otherworld, he had killed one of their agents, yet here they were asking him to ally with them. As Yoogjun waited for his decision, he said that remaining a civilian would lead him down the same path as before, taking corporate contracts. He did not want to repeat that life, so he chose to become one of their agents. She lit up with excitement, saying he had made the right choice and that his addition would be a tremendous help. Recently, corporations had been aggressively recruiting awakened individuals, leaving the Bureau short-staffed. She insisted she wasn't biased as a Bureau agent, but many awakened regretted signing with corporations. Since the corporations were new to training awakened individuals, they lacked expertise, unlike the Bureau, which had a long history with awakened training and Reverse Planet subjugation. True, corporations paid more, but their missions were more dangerous. Woo-hyun said that in the Otherworld, many awakened died during corporate requests, and some companies refused to pay them. In the end, he had forced them to pay what they owed. That incident exposed him as an unregistered awakened, leading to him being pursued by the Bureau, where he eventually met Director Kim. Yoogjun said she would request his awakened registration from their IT team and handed him a business use bonus. When he asked what came next, she explained he would receive training and be promoted once they confirmed his ability. She hoped he would be assigned to Team 1, her team. He said he hoped so as well. He owed her a debt from the other world. Though they clashed afterward, her leadership in the lab raid allowed him and his comrades to survive a little longer. She said she looked forward to working with him. Watching the scene, Non wondered how he conversed with an NPC so naturally. She had never seen anything like it. It felt impossible to communicate with NPCs this way. Even Sunchul was stunned, saying it looked like adaptive AI. The chat buzzed with disbelief. Nobody knew this was possible. Fully adaptive AI could respond freely to any situation unlike ordinary NPCs, but such technology required enormous resources, making it nearly impossible to implement. Non speculated that maybe the developers solved the resource issue, but Sunchul doubted that. More likely it was an Easter egg, possibly triggered by zero combat assistance. He predicted the forums would explode over this and said someone he knew, a major figure in the community who loved story content, would be intrigued and might appear as a guest. It was a shame the stream ended here, he added. Viewers would look forward to the next story mission. For now, they switched to PvP. Woohyun entered the PvP area, noting that viewer 62 still had not appeared. At the cafe earlier, he had told Non to inform him immediately if any donations or comments came from viewer 62. Since she hadn't contacted him, he had no choice but to continue streaming. He signaled he was ready. Non announced that today's content was Showdown, his first time playing it. Sunchul explained he would start in the normal league. Reverse Planet had 8 ranks, he needed 10 wins in the normal league. Pros could do it in 30 minutes. Average players took around 2 hours. A viewer offered him a reward if he hit bronze in under 30 minutes. When Non relayed the message and asked if he could win 10 games in a row under that time, he simply made an okay gesture. Chat accused him of arrogance. Non and Sunchul were excited to see what would happen. The countdown began, and Sunchul noticed Woohyun wielding a weapon he hadn't used before. They realized just how badly they had underestimated him. When the first round began, Woohyun's opponent started casting, but before finishing the chant, the man was sliced into 4 pieces. The second round started. The opponent surrendered instantly. The next match began. An enemy tried using shadow spears but was cut in half just as quickly. Another opponent leaped in with physical abilities, also defeated, and so on, match after match. Woohyun achieved 10 consecutive wins in only 20 minutes, faster than professional players. Non declared it incredible and dramatically claimed she felt robbed. She revealed she was actually Diamond Tier, leaving chat stunned. Sunchul noted that although Woohyun's clear time was extraordinary, his performance was even more impressive. He countered every build effortlessly and maintained flawless execution. Woohyun then received the promised money. The viewer who offered the reward said he was insane for actually doing it. Non praised him happily and said she was excited to see his ranked performance. Sunchul worried about stream sniping, though he admitted sniping wasn't easy. A viewer typed that he had just jinxed it. In the first ranked solo match, set in a cemetery, a man appeared and claimed he had successfully stream sniped. Chat burst into laughter. Woohyun drew his blades. Neither Sunchul nor Non saw any sign of him being affected by this. She reminded him earlier to simply ignore troublemakers, and the match began. The sniper launched a lightning attack, leaping toward Woohyun and swinging rapidly. Every strike missed. Woohyun admitted he had hoped to give the man a chance, but it was pointless. He cut him in half with a single motion. The man called him a monster. During the 10-second adjustment period, the sniper decided to use something special. Woohyun sensed his aura intensify as the man charged in with far more speed and power. His movements resembled those of an Eternal. The sniper laughed, claiming he had gone easy earlier. Woohyun raised his guard as the man accused him of hacking again. Woohyun remembered Non's advice. If anyone called him a hacker, he should thoroughly destroy them. The sniper failed to recognize the shift in atmosphere and kept taunting. Woohyun dashed past him, cutting him. The man turned to counter but immediately had his arm severed. He swung again, his other arm was sliced off. He began crying as both commentators realized Woohyun was toying with him. Sunchul said Woohyun had followed Nan's advice a little too well. Chat blamed her for creating a monster. The sniper healed, but soon he lay against a gravestone, asking Woohyun what he was. Woohyun replied that he had hoped to ask the same before finishing the round. He continued playing with unstoppable momentum, achieving a 30-win streak. Nan announced that he had reached gold rank already. Sunchul said he never imagined Woohyun would get 30 consecutive wins on his first ranked stream. Viewers begged to see his build, so Nan asked Woohyun if they could show it. He agreed. She told Chet she had great news. He would reveal his build next stream. They bowed and ended the broadcast. Afterwards, Sunchul was ecstatic. Between the adaptive AI behavior, the 30-win streak, and the upcoming build reveal, the video would blow up. Nan said he might break the world record. She asked what the highest win streak was. Sunchul said 76, held by Battler on a Smurf account. She hoped Woohyun could beat it. Sunchul agreed but noted Battler was competitive. He might already be watching. Indeed, somewhere else Battler browsed forum posts. Users mocked a cheater who was banned after accusing Woohyun of hacking, and some even claimed Battler wouldn't stand a chance. Battler smirked as he read. A few days later, during Woohyun's second stream, he noted that viewer 62 had not appeared in the previous one. There must be something else he needed to do. Then Yukjun approached him, her appearance immediately igniting the chat. She asked whether he was nervous about his first practical mission. He said it was earlier than expected, but he was fine. As soon as he logged in, the mission appeared. It was fortunate he could skip the training phase. After all, it was just a game. He asked what the mission entailed. Yukjun explained they needed to eliminate invading entities in a nearby space the League of Enterprises had abandoned. Corporations only held onto zones when they thought they could gain something. Once not, they discarded them. Woohyun remarked that corporations here were no different from those in the real world. The status window indicated insect-type invaders. He said they were weak but annoying in large numbers. Guards greeted Yukjun, verifying her credentials and allowing her through. She said it was her first time seeing a portal appear in an abandoned factory. Woohyun approached the portal, sensing familiarity. He had seen this place in the other world, but he remembered it being medium-sized, not small. He wondered if something was off. Yukjun said they should proceed. A man appeared, addressing them. His name was Cho Haeyoung. Yukjun asked what he was doing there, and he claimed he was just as surprised. He hadn't expected his mission to overlap with hers. She asked what he was plotting since he had abandoned his mission already. He feigned offense and then eyed Woohyun, asking who the new recruit was and assuming he hadn't wasted his time joining the bureau over corporate money. Yukjun firmly ordered him to stop crossing the line. He chuckled, said he would leave this one to them, and walked away. Woohyun asked who he was. Yukjun explained that he had been her first trainee. After being scouted by the League, he left the bureau and began spreading false rumors about them. She offered Woohyun a piece of candy, asking if he wanted one. From the studio, Sunchul said this was the first time their past relationship had been shown in detail. Nan agreed. Previously it was only mentioned something bad happened between them. Sunchul said viewers might finally get a deeper look at that story. Yukjun said it was time to enter the gate. As they did, Haeyoung and his men watched from outside, waiting for them to disappear before beginning their own operation. 20 minutes later, inside Reverse Planet, Woohyun wiped blood from his face, staring at Yukjun lying heavily wounded with her candy spilled beside her. Moments earlier, as they had entered, she explained the process of reaching the reverse world. Woohyun compared it to the other world just before the ground began shaking. He sensed something was wrong. She shouted for him to watch out before a bright flash overwhelmed them. He awoke alone in a forest, remembering that paths often collapsed from external forces. First, he needed to clear the insects before searching for Yukjun. Elsewhere, Yukjun fought fiercely. Her hand glowed with thunder as she slammed the ground, lightning ripping through the bugs. But there were too many, and this forest felt like a mid-scale reverse planet, not a small one. Something was wrong. She worried for Woohyun. Suddenly, Haeyoung ambushed her from behind. She dodged, but his attack grazed her side. She countered, but he retreated. When she asked why he was doing this, he said he was simply following secret orders and she shouldn't blame him. More of his men arrived. Realizing how deep her wound was, she fled. She launched an attack, but one of Haeyoung's men blocked it with Guardian Stone, though the shockwave knocked him down. She sprinted past. Haeyoung ordered his men to chase her. She summoned a lightning lance and hurled it at them, the impact slowing their advance. Spotting a hole, she slipped inside just as they passed by. She panted, relieved. If not for that, things would have ended badly. She wondered what they were scheming. Back with Woohyun, Chad erupted with excitement. He was mowing through insects with incredible speed. He felt Yukjun's presence lingering in the air and sensed something had happened. Then he heard her voice. He sprinted through the forest and found a giant centipede coiled around her. He leaped and severed its head with one swing. As she fell, he caught her. He saw the severity of her wounds. Someone as skilled as she would never lose to a bug, these injuries came from a skill attack. And given the situation, only one person could have inflicted them, Haeyang. Yukjun confirmed it. Woohyun said that meant they entered right after the strange phenomenon earlier. In the studio, Nan said something was off. Haeyang usually waited for ambush openings. Viewers agreed. She suggested the behavior might be due to the adaptive AI, and Sunchul said that was the only explanation so far. A hidden storyline might be unfolding. Yukjun struggled, weak from blood loss. She warned that although she had shaken them off, Haeyang's group could return at any moment. But if she used her abilities, she would reveal their location. They needed to escape quickly. Woohyun told her to hide. He would take care of everything. Yukjun cried out, telling Woohyun he couldn't face Haeyang Cho alone. Haeyang was a veteran awakened, far beyond what he should attempt to fight. But Woohyun insisted he would be fine and that he already had a plan. Back at the creek, Haeyang was growing irritated, wondering where she could be hiding. Since she was injured, she shouldn't have gotten far. He ordered his men to search along the creek while he went down to secure their target. Suddenly, sensing something, he swung backward, stopping his blade just short of Woohyun's throat. Woohyun stood before him with theatrical tears, begging him to wait. Haeyang demanded to know what he was doing. Woohyun sighed and claimed that the path had collapsed, separating him from Yukjun, asking if Haeyang knew what had happened. The chat joked that he deserved an Oscar for the performance. Haeyang sneered, saying Woohyun clearly knew nothing, and that if he wanted to meet her, he would after he slept a bit. Haeyang drew back his arm to strike. Blood sprayed through the air. Woohyun had already driven his blade into Haeyang's chest. Stunned, Haeyang dropped to his knees. His men shouted in confusion while Woohyun slipped back into the bushes. One man chased after him, insisting he couldn't have gone far. Perched in a tree overhead, Woohyun silently dropped behind him. The man thought it might have been a bird, right before Woohyun slit his throat. At Haeyang's side, another subordinate tried desperately to stop his bleeding, promising they would treat him once they escaped. A sudden strike descended from above. Woohyun stabbed directly into Haeyang's open wound. The last surviving man yelled that he was insane and demanded to know where his comrade had gone. Woohyun simply raised his hand and showed the man's bloody blade. Recognition turned to fury as the man unleashed a barrage of earth spears, stone edge. Woohyun sliced through them easily. The man warned he wasn't done yet. He made the earth ripple and surge in a sweeping wave, earth wave. Woohyun kicked down a tree, bracing it against another to block the landslide. The man called him a monster. Stonehorn erupted next, knocking dirt upward. It grazed Woohyun's arm. Taken off guard, he pushed forward through the onslaught, closing the distance until he carved a clean slash across the man's chest. The man gasped impossible before collapsing. Chat exploded. Viewers admitted they had forgotten to breathe. Nan was stunned, asking whether he had just defeated 3 hunting dogs using only a single key element. Sunchul could only stare. Woohyun noted that 2 of the kills came from ambushes, yet he still lacked much compared to his power in the other world. That last attack had caught him. He looted Haeyang's phone and read the mission message. The investigation could go to the bureau, but the loot was his. He obtained the dagger of sharp return, bracelet of the winner, and hermit's necklace. Being able to instantly see item effects confirmed that this world truly functioned like a game. In the other world, he had to discover effects through trial and error. Storing everything in his inventory, he said that the urgent matter was resolved. Now he had to hurry and clear the reverse world before Yukjun's wounds worsened. Far away, Yukjun stared upward in disbelief. Towering over her was the gate's final boss, the Emperor Scorpion. She muttered that out of all possible places, she had run into this, but perhaps it was fortunate. If Woohyun had encountered it instead, it might have ended badly. The Scorpion lunged. Yukjun braced herself, determined to fight alone, but the creature suddenly slumped forward, collapsing before it even connected. She looked up to see Woohyun standing behind it, his blade buried in its back. He asked if she was all right. She stared in shock. Chat flooded again, admiring her beauty while watching the scene. The world began cracking, signal of the raid's completion. Woohyun said this was good. Yukjun admitted she never expected him to defeat the hunting dogs alone. He replied that she should focus on escaping and told her to get on his back. Nan explained that once a subjugation was complete, the passage would collapse, they needed to escape or be swallowed. Sunchul confirmed this. Woohyun told Yukjun to hold on tightly as he sprinted out of the collapsing zone. He completed the raid, earning level-ups and ability points. Back at headquarters, Director Kim demanded confirmation. Was Yukjun truly ambushed by another awakened? Woohyun confirmed it. The director grew furious and demanded to know what happened to the attackers. Woohyun said he had killed them. Kim stared, confused, recalling the bodies they'd seen around him before, then asked if Woohyun had any evidence. Woohyun handed him the phone, explaining that he couldn't verify much due to security locks. Kim said the investigation would go smoothly thanks to this and told Woohyun to rest while the bureau handled the rest. As Woohyun turned to leave, Kim called out that he was speaking out of concern. There would be another chance later, but for now, Woohyun needed to cool down and wait. Woohyun said he understood. A new window appeared. He could now choose his second key element. Nan announced that his first mission was finally complete, and Sunchul said it was far more spectacular than expected. Viewer reactions confirmed it. Then something unexpected appeared. Viewer 62 donated 3 million won, saying Woohyun had passed the first test and giving him a special mission. Nan quickly told Woohyun. He responded with a relieved, "Finally." She sent him a screenshot. The special mission reminded him of the previous one, and he wondered if Viewer 62 would reveal more after the stream. He thanked Nan and resumed playing. Sunchul asked if something happened. She lied, saying no. Chat grew suspicious, wondering why she seemed flustered. She reasoned that maybe Woohyun couldn't see the donation window since it was anonymous. She shifted back to commentary, hyping up the next PvP mode. Last time in Showdown, Woohyun had gone wild. Now it was time for Warfare, a 5 vs 5 mode requiring 2-round wins. Viewers complained. They wanted duels. She said she anticipated the complaints, but they would change their minds once they watched. The match began. Sunchul explained the payload. Attackers pushed, defenders stopped. Everyone had played something similar before. Nan wondered how Woohyun would fare in his first 5v5. When the round started, Woohyun stayed in the rear. 2 teammates guarded the front while 2 stayed on the payload. He surveyed the area. Sunchul wondered why he was backing away. Nan suspected he was reading a backdoor attempt. Sunchul admitted it wasn't a bad plan if he had the skill, but stopping 5 alone wasn't easy. Woohyun climbed the walls, reaching the rooftops. Chat debated whether he could really pull this off. Some said it was easy because it was unranked. Others said Smurfs could be present. On the map, Sunchul noted Woohyun was heading straight toward the defense team. Woohyun leapt forward, spotting several enemies. He raised a dagger and hurled it, killing a man instantly. Another shouted they were being flanked right before Woohyun decapitated him. 3 remained. One tried to hold him back while the other 2 ran for the payload. All 3 died moments later. His own team was confused by the non-stop kill logs. Nan had expected him to carry, but not at this level. Sunchul remarked that it seemed even faster than usual and wondered if he was in a hurry. They continued through 3 more modes: Control Point, Flashpoint, and others. Each time, Woohyun annihilated every opponent. He flew across walls, dashed through attacks, and secured pentakills with ease. One by one, the rounds melted beneath him. Viewer 62 appeared again with a message. His special mission was to unlock a new system in Reverse Planet by progressing through the game. Nan squealed over the 3 million won donation, proposing viewer events, dinners, and new equipment. Woohyun ignored the excitement and only asked for the screenshot. He studied the mission, wondering whether progressing meant PvP or PvE. Nan kept talking until she realized he wanted quiet. He reluctantly said he would follow her plan for now. A few days later, during his 3rd stream, Woohyun walked to the bureau training facility. Yukjun had sent a message saying she couldn't train him due to her injury but had arranged a substitute. Nan and Sunchul wondered who it would be. Viewers speculated, Director Kim, Kim Hana, or Jang Hoyang. Yukjun greeted him. When he asked how she was, she said she was okay thanks to him but still unable to train him personally. Then she introduced his substitute, Hana. The chat erupted. Their predictions were correct, and they were jealous Woohyun was surrounded by attractive, high-ranked women. Woo-hyun greeted Hana, explaining that in the other world she was second only to director Kim in skill, and fighting her as an enemy had been dangerous. Yukjun said she would leave now, adding that she had snuck out to come here. Hana scolded her, saying she had claimed she had permission. Yukjun ran away apologizing, and Hana called after her in frustration. An awkward silence passed before Hana asked whether he used a longsword or short sword. He said both. She found it interesting and said she wanted to assess his level, starting with a short duel. Sunchul was confused, and Yukjun asked why. He explained that players often used swords, but sparring scenes like this only happened because Woo-hyun in this story branch was functioning like a main character. Non shivered. Even the chat admitted they felt chills. The AI truly was extraordinary. She had thought even adaptive AI would have limits, but this diverged drastically from normal player routes. Sunchul said this meant the game could evolve completely differently based on player actions, just like reality. Maybe Woo-hyun's version of Reverse Planet was the other world. Hana said she didn't want to use abilities. They should spar with swords only. Woo-hyun said he couldn't deactivate his ability. Transcendence constantly enhanced his body. She agreed to suppress her own abilities instead. They prepared. Hana charged first, slicing upward. Woo-hyun sidestepped and countered, but she blocked. Then she pushed off the ground and rammed him with her shoulder, hurling him backward. Sunchul noted she was incredibly strong. Nan recognized the build God of Wind. Secho corrected her. Technically, the build was inspired by Hana. Despite everything, Woo-hyun kept pace with her speed. Chat marveled that this was only a sub-quest. Its difficulty exceeded many main quests. Hana's eyes narrowed as she realized something. Woo-hyun saw that she wasn't only fast, she was striking directly at his openings. Hana smiled and said she would take things more seriously. She infused her blade with power and thrust at his face. The force blasted the arena apart behind him, yet Woo-hyun had dodged. Chat erupted again. Hana told him he was more impressive than she expected. He replied that if this had been a real battle, his chances of winning would have been only 20%. He was far weaker than in the other world. She asked who taught him swordsmanship. He said he was self-taught. Her surprise deepened, and she said she would show him something else. The mission completed, granting him several level-ups. She led him to a room lined with weapon racks, the Bureau's armory. A man appeared, introducing himself as Kim Hunwoo, the support and assistance team leader. Hana said Woo-hyun needed a proper weapon. There was no reason to keep using ability-less gear. Woo-hyun agreed. Hunwoo told him to take his time and left. Hana also encouraged him to examine everything carefully. He browsed the weapons but found most unimpressive. One called the Vampiric Spear, Rodrigo, was acceptable. He planned to choose it until another weapon caught his eye. He froze. It was Soul Eater. This weapon should have belonged to the black market. What was it doing here? Perhaps it originally belonged to the Bureau before being stolen. He never expected to encounter his favorite weapon here. Hana asked if he intended to choose it. He said yes. She remarked that it was interesting and offered to request its ownership transfer. Nan was confused. This was normally where players received a 2-option weapon, but Soul Eater was a 5-option weapon. Donations poured in. Viewers shouted that this could become his endgame weapon once fully unlocked. Sunchul explained that this wasn't the first time Woo-hyun had gotten a reward inappropriate for early gameplay. The Hermit's necklace from the previous stream was something that normally appeared only after mid-game. Chat agreed. Sunchul then explained, Reverse Planet rewarded strictly by risk. The greater the danger, the greater the reward. He had defeated the hunting dogs and performed flawlessly in difficult scenarios, including escaping the research facility and sparring with Hana. Thus, Soul Eater made sense. Once ownership was complete, Hana suggested they go on a raid together. They traveled to the mountains. Stepping out of the portal, she said she hadn't expected one at the summit, and that the guard had lied when he said it was a little climb. Wolf-type invaders lived here. Their territorial instincts meant they would swarm soon. Woo-hyun said that saved them the trouble of searching. Hana agreed to only assist if things got too dangerous and said she would simply watch for now. Woo-hyun summoned Soul Eater from his storage. The wolves began howling and charging. He lowered his stance, saying it was time to strike with full power. He swung as 4 wolves leapt at once. One transformed into mist from the sheer force. Soul Eater's cutting power increased further as it drank in the kill. Chat erupted again. Nan said he swung such a massive sword like a feather. Sunchul screamed, then donated, saying the control was unbelievable. Woo Hyun remarked that the blade felt entirely different from other weapons. But Hana was stunned for another reason. She asked whether that had just been Heavenly Moon slash. And that is where we leave off for today. If you want to know what happens next, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part.